Eligible to end after Week 8, the Seattle Seahawks are positioned to make a push to sign Antonio Brown, though they are not alone. There are other teams also interested in Antonio Brown's services, but it looks like there's a possibility that he could be back as soon as Week 9, and Seattle is one of the teams making plans right now or preparations to pursue him. Keep in mind here that Antonio Brown spent part of the offseason working out with Russell Wilson and Geno Smith. He's good friends with both Seahawks quarterbacks. He's remained in contact with them. They've told him how he could fit in Seattle, what it would be like to bring him to the Seahawks. Can you imagine Antonio Brown in Seattle playing for the Seahawks? What a combination that could and would be. Now, again, they have not begun contract negotiations, and there are other teams interested. But the fact that there's this much activity around Antonio Brown now tells you that there's a real chance he's going to be back in the league here real soon. And Seattle looks like the most logical landing spot at this point in time.
Wow. Schefter, can you tell us, you mentioned the suspension and that we could see Antonio Brown soon. Can you just tell us exactly the parameters around why he would be able to play as soon as that?
Yeah, well, listen, the league suspended him this summer, and it suspended him for 8 weeks. We are coming on week 7 here right now. Then would be the 8th week. At that point, he would be eligible to be reinstated. Now, there's no guarantee that he's going to be. There has been some discussion and speculation that the NFL could impose additional discipline on him, and we don't know what way that's going to go at this particular moment. But my sense, reading between the lines, is that there's a real chance that the league might not. And if it doesn't, then Antonio Brown could be on the field as early as Week 9. That's the earliest he could be on the field, Laura. Now, he also would have to go to visit a team, pass through the COVID protocols. That's a 5-day process that could slow things down some. But if there was a team that was ready to make a move on Antonio Brown, it could bring him to that town next week and have him ready to go for the following week. And we saw what happened last year. He stepped right into New England, played one game before the Patriots released him, made an instant impact. But again, think about Antonio Brown in Seattle. Wow.
Yeah, that one game for the Patriots last year, Adam, 4 catches for 56 yards, and that instant impact that you referenced feels like, to your point, the Seahawks wouldn't be talking about maybe signing him if they didn't feel like the NFL would allow him to play. Adam, stay close. You'll be with us as this news continues to develop and much more here on NFL Live today. Keyshawn Johnson is here, as well as Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears. And Key, I'll start with you. As you hear the idea that Antonio Brown could potentially join this Seahawks offense already with DK Metcalf performing at such a high level, what comes to mind?
It's Pete Carroll. And it's not just Russell Wilson, but it's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has a history of giving guys second and third and fourth chances to have baggage coming from Buffalo, or whether it was Josh Gordon coming over from New England that had some off-the-field issues. If you can help the team win and you stay out of trouble, you will have a home in Seattle. He has a history of it. I mean, guys that have failed at other places have gone on and had success in Seattle. Now, you could argue whether that's right or wrong. It's a bottom-line business in the National Football League. We're looking to win football games, and if you can help us, we're willing to have you on the team.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those issues, some of the baggage. He was accused of sexual assault and rape in a civil lawsuit September 11th of last year. And, of course, all of that still remains to be completely worked out. He was only with the Patriots for 2 weeks after being with the Raiders. Dan, as you hear this breaking news about Antonio Brown, what do you think he could bring to that Seahawks offense?
Oh, this offense would be unstoppable if AB was there. I mean, this is me making an assumption that AB is in some form of physical shape and ready to play football. I mean, if he goes and joins that offense, it clearly becomes the best receiver group in the NFL with DK Metcalf. And, you know, Lockett's outstanding, and David Moore is very good too. So, like, they would have 4 legit receivers, and then Greg Olsen. So you got 2 speed guys. You know, DK obviously is a deep ball threat, but now AB brings another deep ball threat on the opposite side. So this offense would be, with Russell Wilson, good luck to the NFC. I mean, this would be a huge, huge signing. If they get him in a good place and he's physically ready, that would be enormous for this team.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate what Dan and Keith said about the talent, we obviously know that that's there. This is more about off the field and the fit. And I tend to agree with Key on Pete Carroll and making sure that the environment is right, that you bring in AB into. Obviously, if Russell Wilson wants him there, that's a heavy voice, considering that he's had what he's had throughout the league. So, and sometimes that's what it takes, man. More so.
This, according to NFL Network's Jane Slater, an unnamed Cowboys player said members of the coaching staff, quote, aren't good at their jobs. Another player said the coaches are totally unprepared. They don't teach.
I haven't been part of any of those type of discussions. I think, like a lot of things, when you hit a part of your season or any challenge where there is negativity out there, where it comes from and who it comes from. I mean, that's something that I've never chased, but I think you do have to recognize it. I think it's important to handle things as men. I mean, if you do have something to say publicly that is of most importance, I think it's important to say it to the individual, particularly in a group dynamic setting, and especially in a game of football, especially for the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, that was Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy trying to squash things there. I also want to add in that unnamed report by NFL Network, one of the players also said they don't have any sense of how to adjust on the fly. So big mess over there. We brought in Ryan Clark here. RC, always good to see you. I'll get to you in just a moment. But Stephen A., obviously, I'm starting with you. Is this a bigger problem for the players or the coaches?
Oh, it's the coaches. Just make no mistake about it. Because, see, even when you look at the players and you talk about effort, that still comes down to the coach. Because in the end, it's his job to hold you accountable. If you're not giving effort, I'll put somebody on the damn field who is going to give that effort. That's number one. When you're talking about things schematically, that is definitely an indictment, particularly against this specific coach. Because I'm here to tell you something. If you are a head coach with a Super Bowl championship on your resume and Aaron Rodgers is still your quarterback and you still get fired, there's something wrong with you. Because you got a Super Bowl ring, and you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, and they still say you ain't the man for the job. I mean, damn. I can't think of a bigger indictment against you than that. Okay, that's the only thing that would even equate to that, Max and Ryan and Molly, is if Andy Reid got fired because he's a Super Bowl champion with Patrick Mahomes as his coach, and he still got fired. I mean, come on now. That stuff.
If he went like 10 years with Mahomes without winning again.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying there's something wrong with that picture. And then when you walk out the door and they're saying you're past your prime, that you're a bit archaic and stuff like that, you lose your job. You're gone for a year. You come back knowing you went around the league, you went to different practices, you talked about in your introductory press conference how you've learned the error of your ways, you've heard the criticism and the skepticism about you, and you think you've modified things to some degree. And what do? You go out and you hire a guy as a defensive coordinator. The last time we saw him was 6 years early in Atlanta when he had the second worst defense in the National Football League. There's a reason he couldn't get another coordinator's job for 6 years. What the hell you hired him for? So these are the kind of things that we have to look at when we talk about players. And I want to say this and then give it to Ryan and Max before I chime back in later. Here's the deal. I'm not one of those dudes that's down with, oh, you want to whisper and chirp behind somebody's back. If you can't say it to their face, then shut up. Because I don't give a damn what criticism I had. Ain't a damn thing I haven't said to somebody's face that I say behind their back. I'll say it to their face. The exception is football. Because the NFL and the way it's structured and the things that an organization has the power to do and the myriad of ways they can come up with justifying ostracizing you, pigeonholing you.